It's time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Good morning.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can now.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what was going on with that.
Good morning. Well, it's
Good
okay.
morning.
It didn't
How
last
are
very
you?
long. I'm good. It's good to see you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't know what is going on. I was just on another StreamYard a second ago, and we're having trouble with StreamYard, I think, and everyone keeps telling me you need to start streaming on YouTube. I'm thinking maybe I do.
I love streaming on StreamYard. I would reach out to them. I've had really, really good luck with their customer service. They are super responsive, super helpful. I've always streamed on StreamYard, and I love it. So
hey,
I would reach out to them.
All right, I definitely will.
They'll fix it. Even if you're on stream, I've reached out to them, and they've fixed it.
I like that. I like that. Hey, I just want to say now that I have you on here and we have a good connection, welcome everybody into the room. Hi, everybody. I see we have almost 250 in the room, so go ahead, smash that like button. Yesterday, of course, you guys know, we thought we were going to be jumping on together, but it was a time mishap on my part, so my apologies.
We both thought we were going to be on at 11.
Right. So
it's just our 11s are in different time zones.
Yes, you're Central, I'm Eastern, but that's okay. We're here now.
We're here now. Sorry, all that was totally my bad. I should have checked. It just happens. It's been a busy week.
It's been a crazy week, to say the least. But I'm so excited to have you on because there's more and more stuff now coming out about Erika Girardi and these Girardi cases. And I always love to have you come on and break it down for someone like me or any of the subscribers or watchers who might not necessarily understand the legalities of it all and what these documents mean that, of course, Ronald Richards is constantly posting. If it weren't for him and you, I wouldn't know what the hell is going on, just to be fair. I just wouldn't.
It's fair. He's definitely constantly posting. But he just got approved by the bankruptcy court to go after Erika Jayne's assets. So
isn't that crazy?
It's a weird meshing of worlds, and I wasn't sure what the bankruptcy court was going to do. Sometimes bankruptcy judges can be very kind of by the book. The judge was not dissuaded by the tweeting, which Erika's attorneys were very upset with. And the heart of that issue, for those of you that don't know, hello, law nerds, it's good to see you. Ron Richards is a lawyer and Twitter commentator in the law space, particularly in the part political, part housewife space. And I think his interest in this case probably stems from Tom Girardi being attached to it, though I think he's seeing how much his audience has grown and is branching out into other Bravo lebs, as it were, and has been involved with other Bravo cases in the past. And the tweets are definitely some fact, some opinion, but we're allowed to have opinions, right? So when the bankruptcy trustee for Tom Girardi's law firm, Girardi Keys, wanted to appoint Ron Richards to go after Erika Jayne, I was like, oh, that's going to be interesting.
I thought the same thing. And, I just want to ask you one thing because, I have a few things to ask you, obviously. That's why we're here. And by the way, I'm still loving the purple hair.
Thank you. Me too. It's fun. I need to put a little more color into it, but yeah.
And that silver play button.
We need to talk in a minute. Once I wrap this thought, we need to talk about last night for you.
Oh,
can I finish explaining the
Yes, please.
And then we'll talk. So, because otherwise I just need to close the loop in my brain.
Yes.
Otherwise I'll totally forget. But the trustee made a motion with the court to hire him. Erika Jayne's attorneys objected with strong language. They thought there was an actual conflict, which cannot be overcome, but also we're really mad about Twitter. So when the court looked at it, the court was like, you know what? I don't see a conflict. The bankruptcy trustee filed a motion saying, no, this is the actual fact. There's not a conflict here. And the court's like, you're right. There's not a conflict here. People are allowed to have opinions on Twitter. So we're going to move ahead. So if we see Erika Jayne getting sued by the bankruptcy trustee in the Girardi Keese case, it will be Ron Richards that's suing her, which is just a weird meshing of worlds.
What I wanted to say before, again, while I want to close this loop in my brain too, and like they said that, Jason and I were talking about this yesterday, and I was telling him how insane it is that he's finally been approved. And I said, if from my knowledge, unless I'm just totally wrong, the way I was explaining it was, by him coming on, if he helps seize assets, he can receive up to 45% of the money that they liquidate these assets for. And Jason said, how does that make sense? Wouldn't that money all be there wouldn't he get paid like a set fee and that money would go back to the victims? And I was like, well, I guess I see where you're coming from, but that's not what I heard. I heard that he could receive up to 45%, almost like it's a commission for finding them.
And that's how a lot of law works, where you get paid once the work is done. If you get paid a flat rate and don't bring anything in or don't successfully recover any assets, then the bankruptcy estate is out the money that they paid you. So the attorney has to front the expenses, and then whatever they recover, they get a portion of, and it's staggered between 35 and 45%, depending on how long it goes on for and what they have to do. So yes,
he could receive up to millions of dollars potentially.
Yep, could. I think that's why it's so hard fought that attorneys want to be a part of this case, because the bankruptcy trustee can't do it all. The bankruptcy trustee has to have outside help to track these things down. If the money's not recovered, he's out whatever time and energy he spent. If the money is recovered, then he gets paid.
Wow, it's almost like, I guess a good analogy would be like being a real estate agent. Like you spend all your money on these expenses and you show the houses, and if you don't make a sale, you don't make any money, you're out of your money. So you really fight hard to do this, which means I think that we've already seen, I don't want to say he's ruthless. I just want to say he's very active on Twitter, but honestly, you dangle a couple $1 million in my face and I can, get it the right way and also help these victims get their money back. I would think as a lawyer, he, at this point, once he was, got the green light, he will be ruthless. He will do his best to find any and everything that he absolutely can to get that 35 to 45%.
And I mean, to also get to be like, no, I mean, it seemed to me, and this is my opinion, that he is not having Erika at all. He definitely not having Tom, but definitely not having Erika, and has tweeted about her more, I think, than he's tweeted about Tom. So I think there's also a benefit there that you get to go after the person that you think sucks. It's clear that he thinks she sucks. So he gets to go after Erika. He thinks she sucks. And that he doesn't have to think that she's the best. The bankruptcy trustee wants him to go after any assets that the law firm might have transferred to her and decide if those were proper transfers or not proper transfers. And there's not a lot of reason that the law firm should have been transferring money to Erika Jayne or her companies. So
this is about to get messy.
It's definitely going to get messy. There's another attorney that's been hired by the bankruptcy trustee to go after the marital assets or the potential marital community property. So Erika is going to be in both of these bankruptcies where people are trying to claw back either loans that were given her by the law firm or claw back, property that was paid for during the course of marriage. She says they're all gifts. Everybody else is like, no, everything's not a gift. No, we're not doing that.
I was about to say, can you just say I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, and I see where she's like, listen, aside from a few household items that we shared, that was the community property, but I don't have any more community property. I was in this marriage for 20 years, and sure, he bought me this art or these handbags, some of these designer clothes and these diamond earrings, but those were gifts. And I'm thinking in my head, probably the same thing that we're all thinking, girl, hear me out.
It's not all a gift.
If your husband was allegedly embezzling money, I just use allegedly to cover myself. I don't even know if I have to use it at this point anymore, but allegedly embezzling money from victims, and there's millions of dollars owed back, you wouldn't have had those gifts without that wrongful act. So really, you shouldn't have had those in the first place. So why would you think that in your mind you deserve to keep them? I think that's what everyone's thinking.
I agree with you. And I say this often and loud and often. There is a difference between morality and legality. She might be looking at it going, no, under the, and not her attorneys, maybe her, but under the laws of California, under the rules governing marriages, I am allowed to keep marital gifts and they are not community property. So they are categorized as this thing. I can properly categorize these things as this thing. And that's what I'm going to do. So it's not a matter of keeping stuff that was bought with ill-gotten gains. Everybody might want to say it's just, these are my gifts and I get to keep them under the rules. So there's going to be a lot going through to try to find it. I agree with you. If all the money coming into the money coming into the marriage is money that is ill-gotten, then their proceeds of ill-gotten, gains, then they should get sold back. We'll see what the court does with that. We'll see how the lawsuits go with that. It's a lot of tracking down and trying to track, because there's money he earned legally. There's money she earned legally. And then it all gets put into property. And it's very, very messy trying to unwind what money belonged. And you don't have to say allegedly when it comes to the Rui Gomez family and others. They sued Tom Girardi and won. So a court determined that he took money he shouldn't have taken from his victims. And the state bar went through the accounting of it and was like, the trust account, which is where the money for the clients goes, the trust account was here, and then it was here, and then it was here, and these clients didn't get the money, where WTF is the money. So there are absolutely cases where we have seen him absolutely take money that didn't belong to him from clients that have been proven in court. So those aren't alleged, those are actual. So we know that some of that money fueled something. We just don't know where it went. So we will see. They're going to try to track it all down. The accountants are going to be very, very busy. And the lawyers, there are multiple lawyers involved in all sides of this thing. And the lawyers are going to make money as well. I mean, all the lawyers involved in this are going to make money.
Well, let me ask you this. Obviously, you don't have a definitive timeline, but how long could something like this go on? And how long do you think it will go on, as far as combing through the assets, figuring out what exactly is due back, what Erika owes, what her part was in it, and then just closing this chapter? How long could this take?
We're already 6 months in and we're still kind of at the beginning. So I think we're going to be at least another year before we have some resolution, but some things are resolving. In the personal bankruptcy, selling the house is going to be the big part of it. Once the house sells and clears escrow, a lot of that money is going to get divvied up. And then with regard to the personal bankruptcy, it's just going to be going back over what Erika might have and anything else, any other property that's left to be wrapped up and sold. The law firm is going to take longer. The accounting on the law firm is going to take longer. But we're already seeing these small compromises going on. The bankruptcy trustees have been putting in work. I mean, I have no shade to the lawyers that are getting paid. Some of the percentages are high, but they're normal for California. It wouldn't feel so gross if it was just businesses that were out money and it were other lawyers that were out money. It'd be like, look, we've got to track all this down. This is what it is. The reason it feels gross is because you can see the families that aren't getting the money and how hard they have fought against Girardi to get the money back. And now everyone's getting a slice of it. And that feels wrong, though legally it's proper. So I totally get that. The accounting is going to be left and it's going to take a while with regard to the law firm. So that's going to take time. And there's no assets there other than the cases that are wrapping up. So what's going to happen is, as other cases, because Girardi Keese still had clients that were close to settling, clients that needed to go to trial, clients that had motions. As those cases settle, especially the large one, there's an 800 plus plaintiff case from the fire. But as those cases settle, that money that's owed to Girardi Keese, the lawyer's fees and the costs and expenses, will go back into the pool to be divvied back out. So there's still going to be money coming into the estate as regard to Girardi Keese. So it could take a while. Absolutely.
Wow. And we know that, Tom Girardi, recently finally spoke up when it comes to his conservatorship, and he feels like it's not appropriate and he's going to take the proper, steps to hopefully get it dissolved within the court. And until then, he has nothing to say to the court. Were you surprised that this is how he feels? Were you surprised that he even made this statement?
I didn't listen to the hearing. I will be on for the Britney Spears conservatorship hearing. I did not listen to this hearing. I have questions because the statements he was making to the court. And it seemed to me that he was maybe unaware that he was speaking to the court. And that causes me concern because the things he said sounded more like somebody who's talking to their lawyer and not someone who's talking to the court. And we just saw the court rule in the conservatorship that he is under a conservatorship. He does have a major neurocognitive disorder, but doesn't need to be in a live-in facility, doesn't need some other medical accommodations. So it's this kind of weird hybrid, but the conservatorship court has determined that he is not capable of taking care of himself. There is now a conservatorship of the person and the estate. His brother is going to be taking care of him. The court appointed doctor and the court appointed lawyer all seem to agree that there are neurocognitive defects at play here. It's been said in court records that he has Alzheimer's, aggravating dementia. And a lot of people think it's bullshit. So I'm not a doctor. I don't have the medical records. They didn't do some of the more invasive medical procedures. This is all based on interviews. So we'll see. My bigger concern, based on his statements to the court, and I don't know what else we'll see on the show, but my bigger concern is that he has been kind of shuffling the cards around with smoke and mirrors for a number of years while in mental decline. At his age, it's not uncommon. We know he's smart. And I wonder if he's been able to just kind of be like, no, it's going to be good. It's going to be fine. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And how many of his clients were maybe not well advised on their cases because he was undergoing mental decline. I worry. Either way, it's bad. If he's faking it, it's bad. If he's not faking it, then there are clients who might not have gotten the legal advice that they needed. And then I have a lot of questions for the other attorneys in the firm and what they saw and what they knew and if they noticed mental decline. And same with Erika. She was with them every day during COVID. They were sitting down to dinner every night. Did she see anything? Did she notice mental decline? Is that why she was on that boat in Tahoe going, everything's law, his life is law, law comes first, and saying that that maybe she didn't come first? I don't know.
Every time she speaks on him and she's like, my husband, and that's why we work well together. And, we rediscovered ourselves in our relationship by sitting down to dinner during COVID. And we had great conversations. Like when she talks, I just cringe because I don't know what's going to come out of her mouth. And I'm like, you are under a microscope. Everyone is watching for you and waiting for a slip up. And yeah, it's just kind of crazy to think, of course, we all hope that Erika Girardi had no part or no knowledge, right? That's what you would hope for. You don't want to see anybody go down. But, unfortunately, if she did have any part or any knowledge that it was happening, then it's wrong. And, you get hit with the book.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, though, we don't know the situation inside. We know that this was a lot of smoke and mirrors. And it was very interesting that Erika said that in this episode when Garcelle was talking about her outfit and was like, oh, honey, it's smoke and mirrors. And Erika's like, I think what she said was, my whole life is smoke and mirrors, or it's all smoke and mirrors. It was something like that. And I was like, oof. Yeah. I think she was talking about the image and the persona, but in the context of what we now know, I'm like, no, accurate. Your whole life is smoke and mirrors. And was your whole marriage also smoke and mirrors? I don't know. But if you had no idea and all of this comes out, I don't know how after you go, okay, how am I going to continue to pay for my life and have a home and things like that? After that, how is the next thought not, and what can we do to make it right? There doesn't seem to be any thought of what can we do to make it right. There doesn't seem to be any acknowledgement of it. I don't know how much more we'll get into it on the show. They teased the divorce info so hard. And then in the last 30 seconds, all the women were like, And I'm like, no, fuck you, Bravo. Come on. You teased it. Give us at least 2 minutes
always
of
do
this.
that.
Damn it.
They always do that. And I knew this was kind of, I was talking to another YouTuber, Kimpire. I was talking to DJ Richie Sky about this, a few other YouTubers who we all covered the same sort of Bravo topics. And some people were like, oh my gosh, I was waiting for it the whole time. And they did that to us. And I'm like, guys, we've been watching Bravo for a long ass time. We know
this is
something coming. Teased. Like it's going to be at the last second of the episode to get us through because we're waiting through the whole episode for this moment to happen. And then boom, they got us for next week.
We're waiting. This whole season, we're waiting. This whole season, we're waiting to see what Erika says. That's this entire season is waiting to see what Erika says. And I know there's a lot going on with Crystal and there's stuff going on with everybody else, but aren't we all just waiting to see what Erika says? Isn't that everybody? Maybe it's not everybody. Maybe it's just me.
No. It's like the classic story of Housewives. There's always one main storyline that really just takes the cake. And that's what everyone's invested in. It's like saying, next season of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we're so invested in Meredith Mark's marriage to Seth to see if they're going to be together or if they're just friends.
No, get to Jen Shah being arrested.
Yes. And I don't know if you heard this, by the way. Did you hear that they already wrapped filming and they're about to start filming again season 3 just to get the court stuff in there?
No, I did not hear that.
Yeah, so they're about to start filming season 3 already, which means Jen Shah will be a part of it because they want to cover what's going to happen when she goes to court in October.
Yikes. Well, if she goes to court in October, that's when the trial is supposed to start. What we have to remember about Jen Shah is that case has been going on for over a year before she got involved. I think the other defendants who pled might have had something to say about that because other defendants pled and then Jen Shah gets indicted. I was like, where was the missing link? Where was the missing link? I wonder. And those defendants haven't been sentenced yet. And I wonder if sentencing is getting put over for them to continue to cooperate, because that is not unusual in the criminal system that somebody pleads and doesn't get sentenced to make sure that they continue to cooperate with a case. But Jen Shah should be in court on Monday through her attorneys. They asked for extensions to file motions. So we'll see what her attorneys have to say if they file some motions on Monday, because they had asked for more time for that.
Can I ask you a question? Can we make a plan really quick?
We can make all kinds of questions. Are we going to BravoCon? Can we go to BravoCon?
That's what I was going to ask. If it falls around the same time, can we just go to BravoCon and then also
go to court?
To the court?
Yeah, it's going to be boring. They're going to probably trial's supposed to start right after BravoCon. Jury selection can take a week.
Oof.
Or if not more. And that shit's really boring. But we can still go. She'll still be in court. We can still go see.
Okay, well then we could just go to BravoCon and then we'll
go to federal court, have a Legally Blonde moment.
Yeah.
Stand in the hallway and be like, these shoes aren't last season, sweetie. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. We'll have a total moment. It'll be so
I would love to just, be a fly on the wall when you're not on here because you're hilarious. And I feel like there's so much happening up there.
There's a lot. I'm all in for BravoCon. We'll see what happens with the trial date. We'll know more as we get closer to the date to see if they make motions, if the defense makes motions to push the trial. Look, it's a lot of discovery. I mean, it is millions of pages of discovery. So there's a lot of digital discovery. Takes time to go through, to have your own forensic team go through it. It's expensive. The faster you have to do it, the more expensive it gets, which is why I think we saw Jen Shah's ill-fated posting on what she tried to raise money for it on
GoFundMe,
the thing where you raise money. Yes.
Yeah, GoFundMe. I think you live in my head a little bit because you keep answering the questions that are the things that I want to bring up to you before I even bring them up, which I'm like,
bringing them up.
This is great. No, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. They were trying to raise over $2.5 million for her legal fees and everything else that she's already had to pay and what she's going through. And I was thinking, I mean, obviously, wow, that's a lot of money, but she seems to, the way that she's portraying herself on social media, I have to say, I saw a photo of her the other day and she was, I think at a drag queen show and she looked a little tired or like she was having fun. I don't know what the case was, or maybe she was just tired and this is taking a toll and she wasn't indulging in anything. But looking at the photos and the time that they were posted, I was like, girl, you need to take those down now. Take them down now. Like, these do not look good. You've already been asked to stay
Yeah.
on social media, stop filming, stop doing these things. And it almost seems like she's playing with her fate a little bit.
I mean, I think Erika's tempting her fate being on TV too. I think they both are. I think that the lawyers behind the scenes have to be, and a lot of lawyers don't have a ton of involvement in social media. They might have clients involved in social media. It's becoming this new, you need to kind of be social media savvy now and almost have a PR side of your brain to work in law dealing with celebrities and influencers. But it's a bad look. And the AUSAs and the investigators on the case on both, on the Jen Shaw case, we don't know if there's AUSAs involved in the Erika Girardi investigation. We know Tom was under investigation. We don't know what's happened or what will happen or if anything will happen or if 3 years from now something will happen. But you can't imagine that the lawyers love what's going on, but the lawyers on the other side are sitting there going, hee.
Yeah.
It's like Candace from Phineas and Ferb. Hee. We're going to bust you. Get to bustin'. Busted. Anyway,
I mean,
that's what it is.
It literally, I can totally see that. And, I was going to ask you too, because they're saying that she may owe around $7 million of the debt that's owed. Where do they come up with this number, the $7 million figure? And is that she may owe it, or she at least owes that and it could be more? Do you have any knowledge?
This seems to be speculation. Well, not speculation. I mean, it's probably educated speculation from the Girardi Keese bankruptcy estate if there was money loaned to Erika or EJ Creative from the law firm. So if they've already uncovered something indicating those transfers were made, be it bank records or books or whatever, if money was lent from the law firm to Erika or EJ Creative, she's going to have to pay that loan back. So yes, in the Edelson PC lawsuit, they indicated it was a $20 million loan. We don't know how much it is. If there's a loan there, they will go to Erika's attorneys first, or Ron Richards should go to Erika's attorneys first and be like, this is what we have. Are you going to comply or do we have to sue you? And then Erika's attorneys will decide. And if they sue her, it'll stay within the bankruptcy court and the bankruptcy judge will deal with it. And there will be lawsuits running inside of the bankruptcy.
Oof.
Yep. Oof. But she could also say, I don't have it. My company's going bankrupt. So,
And that's what I was going to ask too. Can she, I know I've had members in my family who have gone through a divorce and they have to split up their assets and stuff like that. And they've filed bankruptcy because it was just easier to file the bankruptcy to kind of lump all that debt into that. And then it's almost like they get a fresh start, right? I don't really know how bankruptcy works.
I mean, it takes a while before you get a fresh start. It definitely dings your credit, but there are debts that can be discharged. I hate the word discharge, but there's debts that can be discharged in bankruptcy. It means they're kind of put aside or released in bankruptcy. So there are certain types of debts that you get rid of in bankruptcy. There are some types of debts you can't get rid of. You go through a bankruptcy and at the end there's a plan and you still have to pay it, kind of like credit debt consolidation. So the loan, if it's a loan from the law firm, it's not as if it's a legal judgment or something. And that might be something that can be discharged in bankruptcy, which will be part of the strategy of trying to get the money back from her. I mean, right. Or I think part of the strategy may be publicly shaming her on Twitter into giving it back. Because if she does file for bankruptcy, that's the type of contract or the type of debt that might be written off in bankruptcy, which would just be a shit move. Well, I mean, she's got to do what she's got to do so she can bounce back and have a financial future. But how shitty would everybody feel if it's like, oh, you owe $7 million. She's like, I'm bankrupt. Good luck. But if you don't have it, you don't have it.
I mean, but what if you have over allegedly $20 million in gifts, then you kind of do have it. You can't, can you just file can you file bankruptcy and have a jewelry box full of $3 million worth of diamonds?
Oh, we're getting into very fine points and I love the questions. It really depends on how the loan is secured. So if the loan was to her personally, and she has all of those assets, then she could be forced to sell off her assets to cover the bankruptcy because it's like, no, you have the money. Just like they're selling off Tom Girardi's assets, the home and everything else.
Right.
But if, depending on how it's structured through a business, if it's not secured by her in any way, then there's a gray zone there where it's possible that the business EJ Creative goes bankrupt, but EJ Creative also, we've got to assume, has licensing rights to the music, has rights with Bravo, and it could be, no, you're going to pay this off, and this is how much the company's going to pay this off. So, or you sell the copyrights to the music if the company owns them. Those are assets too. Sell those.
You made a very important observation earlier, and I've been talking about this. There are so many people who just think or are wondering why. Like, why are you not doing more to kind of help find these assets, doing more to help the court figure the situation out? It seems like she's kind of just taking a back seat and she's saying, nope, not my problem, not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm not a part of this. I'm not giving you my shit. It is what it is. Like, stop knocking on my door. I'm going to go through this, obviously, with all of you guys, but I'm going to fight with everything that I have, because even though I'm sorry my husband embezzled money from these victims, that wasn't me. So stop trying to take my shit away. And fans are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Wouldn't you? And long term, it's not cute. Long term, it doesn't look good on her. Even if she does get to keep her assets, it's going to be like a kind of like a stamp on her forever for navigating all of this the way she is.
But there are some that just don't care. And I think that on her social media post, there's as much yes queen as there is give money to the victims. It's kind of equal on her social media post. I haven't seen it turn where it's 100% negative. It's not everyone. And I think she thinks she can bounce. I also think it's part of her character. Like, I'm ice. I don't care. This is what it is. It might be on advice of counsel. Her lawyers might be, we're ignoring it. What we're not going to do is talk about it. But I feel like that scene in Game of Thrones where, God, I'm going to forget names. Khaleesi, the queen, the awful queen, is walking down the streets naked, and everybody's like yelling for shame and like throwing stuff at her, and she's got her head up and she's just like taking it. I feel like that's Erika right now. She's just she's going to take it. She doesn't care, and she's going to keep moving forward, and she is going to do what she's going to do. And I don't think she cares about the fallout. And we don't know what she knew. We might not know what she knew. I'm interested to see what this new documentary has to say about it, but I think it's going to be a lot of speculation. I don't think it's going to be anyone who has solid evidence that she knew this. And the clips we've seen of the show, and we don't know what context they're in, she keeps saying, I did not know. Well, you knew something because you filed for divorce. So can you tell us what that was? Like, start there. Why did you file for divorce? Let's start there.
Hey, you must do this for a living. But you know,
I have so many questions, and it's not a good look, and it's not going to be a good look. But we also don't know what's going to happen down the road. We don't know what the bankruptcy court's going to claw back from her gifts and or community property. They're still married. The chat has said Cersei. Thank you, Kadia Khan. Cersei walking down the street with the anyway. It's Cersei deserved it. So it's not as if saying that Erika's a martyr. She's not. This is her life. She's in this. She has to deal with this. Her attorneys might say, ignore it and keep moving. But I would get it if it was just posts regarding to sponsorships. I get that you have to make money. I get that you have to pay rent. I get that at some point in the future, your company may have to pay these very big loans. And the people that would know that the best are her lawyers saying, you need to prepare for when the other shoe drops on all of this. But it's not just that, though. She's not just posting that, though.
Right. And, you know, I found it very interesting at the end of this episode that pissed everybody off, especially you, when, you know, all of the women received the text. Kyle Richards said it best, I think, in the confessional when she's like, wait, what? Like, where did this come from? All of a sudden, like, you're talking about this man, and then 3-4 days later, you file for divorce. Like, nothing. You didn't mention anything about counseling. You didn't mention anything about there ever being a problem. You just file for divorce. Like, it seemed, even to the women, like, this doesn't.
WTF.
Yeah, this doesn't feel right. And then now I think all of the women, of course, they know, and they're not going to say it on the show, but I'm sure they're going to have their questions. Where are you now, Lisa Rinna? You were so ruthless on Denise Richards.
We have so many questions, Lisa. Get in there.
Yeah, get in there with your iconic.
Don't get gun shy now.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, well, but, you know, I think we all have the same questions and everything. It just seems like it was really, really fast. And then boom, you filed for divorce because, I'm filing for a divorce. I didn't know about any of the lawsuits or anything like that.
And then everything broke open.
And then it all broke open.
And then everything broke open. That Edelson PC lawsuit came down, alleged the divorce was a sham. Everything, the sky broke open after that. And the timing, look, we don't know. We don't know yet. We don't know. We don't know what she knows. We don't have any evidence to go, ha. But when things are too coincidental, they're normally not coincidental. So the timing is convenient. I want to know why. And I don't know if she's going to answer why she filed for divorce. Because what can she say? Oh, if her husband was in mental decline, then we have a lot of questions for the other lawyers at the firm. What did they know? If she didn't know it was that he was in mental decline, then why file for divorce now? You've been together 20 years. You've talked about having dinner every night together during COVID and getting to know each other. Then what?
Right. And when you said when something's coincidental, usually it's not.
Things are sometimes too convenient and you're like, no, there's more knowledge here. It's not, we're not just filing for divorce right as everything cracks open.
It's filing for divorce right as everything cracks open. And then it's this diagnosis of late onset Alzheimer's, which, like you said, also led into dementia. And then after that, it's the house is being liquidated, but then the house is being burglarized. There's a conservatorship because he doesn't know or he's not aware of what's going on in the court or what's going on in his own finances or anything like that. But yet he's doing speeches and seminars like the month before. I mean, like, I don't want to sit here and like crucify them, but like, there's a list of
coincidences
that kind of raises red flags. That makes everybody go, what the hell is actually happening here? Because this is a lot that's adding up. And I wanted to ask you, I know that she tried to get a gag order in order to keep all of this private, right? And not.
They tried to get a gag order against Ron Richards.
Okay.
They're not fans of the sassy tweets.
So it's not just, it was just Ronald Richards. It's not just like all YouTubers or media outlets from covering it. It was just Ronald Richards because he has posted over probably at this point 300 tweets about the case.
And they think they were arguing kind of this appearance of impropriety or, now he's going to be suing her, but he's made all these tweets about her. Normally, you don't see attorneys talking about cases they're involved in that way, but he wasn't involved yet. So how he goes forward on Twitter, he might talk about the other stuff he talks about and keep people just up to date because there are rules of professional conduct. I don't think he's violated any of those. I've gone through a lot of his tweets in my content and been like, this is what the rules are, and this is where he's tweeting. Though I can see that Erika doesn't like the shade being thrown her way. I get it. Nothing has really crossed the boundaries of like, this is factual, this is my opinion. It's like, oh, look, this is a tone deaf post. Well, yeah. Some of them are. I think he goes hard on Twitter. He makes his opinion known, but he's allowed to. Some people like it, some people don't like it. And they're allowed to. Erika's attorneys clearly don't like it, but there's nothing that really violates that pre-attorney or pre-trial publicity from him. And now that he is a part of this case, the judge signed the order, I believe, yesterday. So now that he is part of this case, he's actually a litigant involved because he's the attorney. So what he posts regarding her might change a little bit, but a lot of what he posts are the court records. Like, this happened today. You're allowed to keep people up to date on what's going on. So will we see the opinion toned down a little bit as to Erika? Maybe.
I have a very important question for you.
Yes.
Does "it's expensive to be me" have a whole new meaning now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Forever, for all of them. Like the law bills are going to be expensive. The potential loans are going to be expensive. This is going to take a toll. I mean, there's no way that this is not sleepless nights, upset stomachs. Like, this is really, really stressful shit to navigate. I wonder if we'll see how much we'll see of that on the show, how either stoic she will be. Because now we've got what I love about this season, the ADHD, I'm sorry. What I love about this season is that we have these pinpoints of the timing. Like, we know it's coming up on election day in both New York and Orange County. Like, we know that we're in the beginning of November. So now we have these touch points and we can walk through what we know happened in the timeline, like IRL, and what we're watching happen in the timeline at the show. When the Edelson PC lawsuit got filed, running up to December, I think they filmed through the bankruptcy happening. So it's going to be these touch points that we know what's going on in the background legally. And that'll be very interesting to see if it starts to wear on her or if she becomes very stoic and just like, it's fine.
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think obviously, like you said, this would wear on anyone, it's going, like you said, sleepless nights, upset stomachs, but also at the same time, she doesn't have the nickname on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills as Ice Queen for nothing. She's very composed. She understands like these women are here to do a job. She's not going to give them too much information. She's not going to overtrust them. And she's very aware that there are cameras around. So it's not just her trusting them with this information. It's her trusting the rest of the world because eventually this will air. And I think that she's too composed for that. She will not. She is probably the one on the show who is the most kind of reserved with what's actually going on behind her walls. Aside from what everyone wants to know what's actually going on with Harry Hamlin and Lisa Rinna's world, but we don't talk about the husbands. So
we don't talk about the husbands. Can we talk about the interview look that Erika's got going on still?
I like.
I also have. You like it?
I think she looks young, great, and it looked like she still had her glam squad. Now she posted another one on Instagram where she had this sort of Lala Kent in her first Vanderpump Rules reunion kind of clown face. And I'm not being disrespectful at all, but it just almost looked like, did the glam squad?
Was this a choice or was this not a choice? That's an interesting, I'll be interested. I don't love the red jacket look. It has like the very strong brows and the very kind of severe hair. I know she does that a lot. The strong brows and the severe hair while she's talking about the things she's talking about. And the blazer, it feels like 80s courtroom drama to me. And I'm not fashionable at all. I think that what she does is fantastic 99% of the time.
You're wearing I don't love this merch. You take that back. You're fashionable as hell.
I wear shirts and some form of a yoga pant, though there is no yoga happening most days. Not fashionable. And that's it. Look, it's totally fine. It just is what it is. I've never really cared, but most of the time she looks phenomenal. This one just hits me weird. And I don't know if it's because I'm clouded by everything else that's going on that I'm just like, I don't know. I'm struggling this season because I have very much liked Erika and I very much don't like what's going on. And so it's hard to still watch with the same open mind of, oh, Erika's just kind of an enigma wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in other people's cash. Like it's.
I like that. I like that play. And to be honest with you, if you guys remember, Dorit came and showed up to an LVB party one time where it looked like a big golden goose laid a big golden right on our head.
Oh my God. She tried like again, Dorit is willing to try it. I don't always like where it goes, but I like that she's willing to try it.
She is willing to try it. We did just get a super chat. My StreamYard, guys, is acting up, and I don't know why. It's not letting me click on things. So I will get that resolved later. Like Emily said, I can contact customer service, but I did see the super chat. So thank you, Subway Surfer. They were asking if 35 to 45% for Ronald Richards as a cut is high, or is that typically normal for something like this?
So it's normal for the market. So this is a bankruptcy playing out in Los Angeles. That's not an unusual contingency fee for Los Angeles, and it's staggered. I broke it down on my channel, and I can always share that document too later, but it breaks down like if this happens, then it's this much. If this happens, then it's this much. And the amount goes up with the more work that goes into it. Because again, attorneys don't work for free. They don't. That's just part of attorneys. And in LA, a contingency fee in 35 to 45 is not unusual. It's got to be hard for everyone that has, particularly the clients that have gone after Tom Girardi, won judgments, and then still not gotten their money to see, okay, well, even to get back this fraction of the money, then it's already cut down by costs and fees and expenses. So what are we really going to get? If they get $7 million back and costs and then contingency, I'm going to sneeze, sorry.
Bless you.
If costs and then contingencies go off the top, what's left of that $7 million, and by how many people who are waiting on money? So I can only imagine watching this show. The clients of Tom Girardi and the past clients of Tom Girardi must be so frustrated, and it's got to be very hard for them as the rest of us are watching it just play out and going, what's going to happen next? They're like, this is my life, and this is the money my attorney was supposed to get. Fred says hello. Hi, Fred.
Oh, hi, Fred.
Fred says hi.
Oh, my little naked titty tot is sleeping right in front of me, and it's so good because she's very vocal. So we'll keep her.
So Fred is very much enjoying getting to be on the desk while I'm live. This is his new thing. So I don't know what we'll see play out. I will have thoughts. I think it's going to be the most interesting thing that goes on. Sutton is clearly having some kind of a moment, which is very odd because the ladies don't know her that well, and the Sutton stuff is strange to me.
Strange to me. And I did an interview with her, and I really loved our interview. I loved our conversation, but watching her and how the editing is coming out, and you can't just always blame editing. These are her reactions. She's coming off a little, I hate to say this, I don't know another word for it, but just like a little, it's annoying to watch. Mm-hmm. Is that fair? And
it's fair. There's a lot going on, and it feels, the stuff going on with Sutton feels very junior high school to me. It feels like she feels left out, and there's some like, she's not responding to it like an adult. She's responding to it like a kid that's been left out of a birthday party and is losing her mind about it. And I think there's more there. And she touched on it a little this last episode, like selling the house has been more difficult than I thought. Just it's hard to be self-aware while you're on TV, I imagine, but it seems that there is more going on there.
There are three things that I want to say about that I want to bring up real quick while they're in my head. So I'll just like spout them off, and then we'll address them just
yes,
so
please.
This loop. One, we have to talk about Kathy Hilton and how much she just does not really give a shit about anything. She's just navigating, like doing whatever she does. And then also two, it had to have been hard for Crystal Kung-Minkoff to just look at her straight in the face, Sutton, and tell her that she thinks she's crazy. And then the third one was, I love that Sutton was trying to look at Erika and pretty much say, you're Southern, I'm Southern. Don't you think people expect us to be racist? And
Erika's like, no, bitch.
She's like, no, not at all. And Sutton's like, okay.
Right.
Like,
why don't you have my back?
She just thought Erika was, what?
I think Sutton is very triggered about something. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what she has dealt with growing up. But she is clearly going through something. And this is, Fred, this is also running up to a very tense election. But Sutton's really doesn't get to be like, oh, I'm under attack. You can see how hard it is for, Garcelle and for Crystal. Like at some point you just have to just step outside yourself. Be the Sonia Morgan of Beverly Hills. Somebody step up and be Sonia, because Sonia gets it.
People, I was reading some of the comments, and people felt like Crystal, by her saying like, please tell me you're one of those girls who don't see color. That's what you're saying, right? Please say. And they were like, well, she's being ruthless and she's looking for a moment. And that's not how I took it. I took it like she's trying to simply share her story and her experiences. And Sutton cut her off and was like, we're not going to do this. And it's like, wait a minute. Can't say that. You haven't walked in her shoes, and she's sharing her experiences. So not going to do what? And she didn't want to make it a race thing, but like I fully agree with Crystal Kung-Minkoff. That's easy for you not to do because you're a white woman. Like, of course you don't know the same hardships that she had to go through or the same experiences. Just like I don't want to compare race to sexuality or anything like that, but it's like a straight man wouldn't know what it's like to be a gay man and grow up, and a white person wouldn't know what it's like to be a black person. And it's just, it's really like, you have to, like you said, Sonia, be a Sonia Morgan and listen,
Sonia,
just and observe and take it in and just be an ear for a second and learn, because you might hear something that can help you grow as a person. And also it might be sort of therapeutic in a way for, everyone at the table to be able to share their experiences without being shut down.
Yeah, Sutton absolutely shut down Crystal. I think Crystal was actually being very open, and it's not Crystal's job to educate Sutton about the world, but Crystal was trying to share, and Sutton wanted none of it. And I think that did not sit well with Crystal, because it's like, oh, so you don't want to get to know me. You don't want to hear about what my experiences are. And I think Sutton responded with something like, well, everyone just assumes I'm racist and you don't know how hard that is for me. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. You've missed the point. You've missed the entire point, Sutton. And I think part of what was going on in November was that the people were, BIPOC people were begging to just be heard. Like, just hear me. And we see this playing out in 2 franchises. And we see some of the housewives actually listening and some of the housewives just not being able to listen at all. And it's like, Sutton, just listen. Crystal's trying to be open and honest and vulnerable with you about her experience. Just listen and say, thank you for trusting me to share your experience with me. And also let her have that moment on the show so that everyone else can hear it too.
Jason always tells me I talk too damn much, and he always says less is more. And I definitely had that vibe. I was like, oh, Jason, comes into play when I'm watching Real Housewives of New York, and Heather Thompson just keeps sticking her foot in her mouth. And then I love when she walks out of the room and Ebony looks at Leah. I don't know. What did she say? You speak.
She said, you're so articulate. It was fucking horrifying. And it was just, Heather.
She almost made it sound like, wow, like you really are so articulate. Like almost
it
like
was so demeaning. It came across to me as demeaning.
She is the only lawyer. She just said at the table she has more education than anyone at the table.
And she does.
And like Sonia said, she's not bashing the other women. She's simply giving her resume, her academic resume, and she's just letting them know, listen, those are just facts. And after knowing all of this, and Heather was a part of all of those conversations, then you tell her, wow, you really are so articulate. It's like, why are you shocked by that? Because why?
Yep. Heather was like, no, I have this inside view, and so I can say whatever. Like, I can say whatever because I've been there, and it's like, you haven't been there, Heather. And
it was Puffy and Beyonce.
And by the way, if Heather did have an awareness, she would never have looked at her and said, oh, wow, you're so articulate. She never would have, because she would have understood how demeaning and degrading and stereotypical that is to say that. She's a lawyer. Of course she's articulate. But you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't. And this was the whole point on New York was, but you wouldn't say that to another cast member. You didn't people storm out of this bitch all the time, and you don't say, oh, you're so angry to them. So let's look at our language and how you treat other cast members. And I think it was a point very well made. By the way, that is an interview look with the puffy coat.
Oh,
But she's an attorney, and Lou was trying to put her down for using curse words. I felt personally attacked, and I was like, get her, girl. You tell her how educated you are. You use those words. Go, tell them.
I do too. And again, this damn chat is not letting me click on anything, but we got another super chat. Malin SD, thank you so much for the super chat. Question. Oh, no. Oh, it's letting me scroll a little bit. Question. LA Times states bar admits mistakes in handling years of complaints against Tom Girardi. Can the bar be sued by Girardi clients now?
Oh, the process of suing the state bar would be difficult because they are a government agency. Sorry, as my cat is trying to chew on cords. Because they are a wing of the Supreme Court. So it will be, I don't have a clear answer on that. And I think it would be difficult to do. That doesn't mean there might not be some clients who are like, I'm willing to do it.
Right.
Forget it. I'm willing to do it. So
okay.
I think it's going to be tough, but it's one of those things where clients can say, look, did they rely on the state bar not taking action to hire them? It's like, well, yeah, he should have been disbarred years ago. So because he should have been disbarred years ago, these cases never would have happened because he should have been disbarred years ago.
Okay.
So,
well,
I think it will be difficult.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
All right. Well, back real quick to Real Housewives of New York, because Luann, I do want to point out the fact that Ebony had a very valid point when you have Leah running up to everybody and she's like, you're a hoe, you're a hoe, you're a hoe, you're a hoe, and you're a hoe. And then she's like being super abrupt. She is like a dog with a bone when it comes to Heather Thompson. She is waiting for that moment to rip her head off. And Heather, you see Heather when they get to the fishing place and she's like holding her like this and she's trying to be nice and she's trying to overdo it. Sure, she's trying a little hard, but I think she was trying to really integrate herself into the group and kind of she owned what she said on the podcast. She was just trying to be a part of this. And Leah knew from the moment that Ramona said she was coming to the Hamptons that she was going to have it out for her. Leah
was preparing. She was like preparing her receipts.
Yeah, and her reactions were, I think even Ebony said on Watch What Happens Live, like she was a little bit quick to jump the gun on some of these situations, and her emotions were heightened. Maybe it is because, you know, she is slowly losing her grandmother. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
She's also early in sobriety again. So she's dealing with, and this is where it gets hard for me to watch sometimes, is women dealing with tremendous life struggles amidst dealing with like early days sobriety while playing it out on television. I'm like, ooh. I mean, no, she's not going to act her best. She's early on in sobriety. She doesn't have any coping mechanisms. She's kind of like a walking wound, lashing out at everybody. And that's not fun for any of the cast members. But I was really disappointed in her when Ebony was trying to talk to her about why the election mattered to her. And she was just seeing red about Heather and wouldn't listen to Ebony either. I'm like, just listen to your friend. It's not about you. It's not about you and Heather. Why was Heather even there?
Ebony gave Leah that moment that she needed to really pop off.
Attack.
And that's what she was waiting for. So it's almost like she just said, you know, here's your weapon. And
she lobbed her a softball.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, I'll take it. But Heather was there, I think, because really they don't have a lot of cast members on the show right now. They have 5 housewives, and first of all, they should have never gotten rid of Dorinda. They said that Dorinda took some time off right now, and what everyone was like pointing to was maybe she was a little aggressive last season because she was, you know, getting a little drunk and she was getting in Tinsley's face and she was kind of taking it to a different level at the reunion and just getting in her feelings. So they're like, okay, we're going to give her a break. But at the end of the day, now we're seeing Leah, and Leah's sort of lashing out, and it's no different than Dorinda. That's like the thing that I just said in my interview, not to bring this up, but in my interview with Fallon,
Bring it up. Refer back to all your content. Link it down below. Subscribe to the channel so you can see all these amazing interviews. Don't say I hate to bring it up. Bring it up.
Let's talk about
it all.
Mention it all. Yes. And guys, also don't forget to hit that like button. Show some love. But even with Fallon was not invited back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta because they told her that she wasn't a good look for them after freaking out on LaToya and going for the golf club. I don't know if you saw that scene, but she went for the golf club and she was pissed after being called a racial slur. But they said that is not good for our brand, from what she says. And I didn't
people getting angry from Bravo. I mean, we all remember Scary Island.
I mean, not just that, Teresa Giudice flipping a table, Daniel Staub ripping Margaret by the hair.
Yeah, we definitely see people go hands-on in this show with each other.
Portia dragged her off the reunion stage.
Yep.
Like dragged her off stage.
Yes. So how are we? The picking and choosing is odd to me.
It's odd to me.
Yeah, it's odd to me. And I miss Dorinda. The cast of New York feels too small, and that's going to lead to, I don't know, either more alcohol or these weird episodes. I want Ebony and Sonia to be the main plot line for the rest of New York. I just want to see the two of them. I want them to have a buddy comedy show, maybe have a cop show. Like, I love the two of them together, and I want more of them all the time. Like, forget the rest of the women. I want like Ebony and Sonia save the world or something.
You know, I didn't just realize until you pointed this out. Of course, we were just talking about this, but too small. I've talked about this on so many different lives, but normally in order to make it a really interesting, successful show with high ratings, it does take 6 or 7 housewives because it adds those extra elements to keep the story going. It's like fun. There's a lot to look at. There's more dimension. But I'm wondering, since Heather Thompson never really signed a contract, she just signed a release, and she came on and then realized she wasn't a good fit because this was not the group that she remembered filming with, and this wasn't the experience she had before. So she ended up quitting and saying, you know what, I don't want to do this. I wonder if that's when they decided to go knock on Brashawn Shaw's door, who we will be seeing in a couple episodes to come. And she's joining as a friend role, and maybe even next season she'll get an apple. I'm not sure. But it makes me wonder, because she walked away, maybe she was supposed to be the sixth housewife. Maybe. And then she quit, and they brought Brashawn in, but Brashawn came in so late that they were like, okay, so we have 5 housewives and a friend.
A friend. Yeah, it's interesting. And I was wondering that, were they trying to bring Heather back? And it sounds like she decided this was not for her, this group.
Yeah, it was her decision.
So interesting.
Oof.
Yeah, it's just the cast is too small. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm very interested, and we didn't get to even talk about Kathy Hilton. I'm very interested to see how Beverly Hills continues to play out. I didn't realize I was going to be a Kathy Hilton fan. I love Kathy.
I honestly, the fact when she keeps calling her sister Doogie, I'm like, she's like Doogie, what do you mean? And then she like sits there, she not a care in the world, like not aware. Her sister's trying to sleep. She's like, Red Bull, 1 o'clock in the morning. And just like
with her pillows and her fans. And she's like, I'm sleeping in. Like, why do I need to get up to go on a boat with you all? I'm sleeping in. I'm doing what I want. The fact that she had never been on a girls' trip blew my mind. She was like, no, I always travel with my husband. I'm like, what is happening? And I mean, the last time I really saw Kathy Hilton on TV was in Paris's documentary about her experience at boarding school. Right. And I didn't have a great taste in my mouth after that. When Paris came to talk to Kathy, I thought was very kind of cold and shut down. That might have been being on camera. That might have been the difficulty of the topic. But She's been delightful to watch on Beverly Hills and has been kind of a lot of a fun addition. I can see her not wanting to be a full-time housewife and just like sprinkling her in on some of these trips because Kathy's wacky. I like it. I love the prank. I love the prank.
The bottoms up.
The bottoms up.
Oh.
I loved that. I'm like, Kathy has a sense of humor, but also I have a lot of questions about Kathy. She's like, oh no, we used to play dentist. I'm like, what are you talking about?
She really is all over the board. And honestly,
I'm a hairdresser. I was a dentalist. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I know. Let's play 2 truths and a lie. And she gives her 3 truths, and they're like, I think that's all true, Kathy. And she's like, oh, what's the game again? And then everyone keeps on saying that she sounds like, are they comparing her voice to Caitlyn Jenner? They're saying her voice sounds like someone. I forgot who it was. And I'm just like, God, you're ruthless. But then watching Garcelle trying to have a moment with her by telling her how annoying she felt Paris is coming to these events because she always has her head in her phone. And she's like, why are you here? I thought Kathy handled that really well too, because you're crossing over a fine line here, friend. You might look at her as a public figure, as a big celebrity. She is Paris Hilton. But at the end of the day, that is Kathy Hilton's daughter. She is her daughter before she is Paris Hilton, the celebrity. So when Garcelle said that, I was like,
right.
What do you do?
I thought it was interesting the way they explained kind of Paris's social anxiety.
Right. I mean, I
thought it was interesting.
I thought it was interesting too. And honestly, I think a lot of us can relate in our own ways who have social anxiety. Like when I go, I'm so awkward. I really am. I can come on YouTube and talk, but Jason doesn't let me talk to people out in the wild because the other day I saw this girl in my building. I'll give you an example. Jason's probably watching and telling me to shut the hell up.
Hi, Jason.
I saw this girl in my building and she has a pit bull, and you're not supposed to have a pit bull in the building unless it's a service dog. It's like one of those fine lines where, you can't tell her not to have a pit bull. And she's this really cute girl. I think she's a tennis instructor or something. I'm not sure. And she always walks out, but you can tell this in my building. Everyone kind of seems like they're really nosy and they want to know everything. Like I have 2 dogs and you're only supposed to have 1 dog in the building, but 1 is a service dog, and everyone questions me. I've been reported. It just gets really annoying and everyone is in everyone's business. Oh, yeah. Well, it seems like she tries to walk through and skip conversations and pass by you really quick and put her head down so she doesn't have to talk to you. So the other day I saw her and Jason and I were walking out to go to lunch and she was passing by and I just stopped her and I said, what is your name? And she just looks at me and Jason's like, wow, that's like abrupt. And I was like, no, I just wanted to ask you because I always see you and you're really pretty and you have this cute dog. And, I know that you live on the first floor or something because you never take the elevator. You always take the stairs. But sometimes in the morning around 8 o'clock, I see you walk to the park. And Jason's like, you are giving so much information. You look like a creep. And I was like, I thought I was being nice. He's like,
you're
no,
like, I really just want to know, like, hey, I see you around a lot in the building. What is your name or neighbors? As opposed to, what's your name?
Yeah, what's your name? And and Jason's like, you just told her that you see her walking at 8 o'clock in the morning to the park? That's creepy.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't think it.
Jason's like, and now you're a stalker.
Yeah.
Kempire's in the chat saying she thought you were going to report her dog. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's your name? You live on the first floor, right? I see you every day. It's like, and then you're going to write her up and be like, look, if you're in the hallway between 7:55 and 8:05, you'll see her with the dog in question. You're like, no, I just want to know my neighbor.
Yeah, and we walked away, and Jason, he looked at me and he's like, you are so fucking awkward. Like, please just don't talk to, like, just play on YouTube. Do not talk to people out in the wild. Just YouTube. That's it. I'm like, okay.
I love our conversations. I know we've been an hour. Before we jam, can we talk a little bit about last night and about your premiere and about your interview? Can we just spend a moment to chat about it?
Hey, yes, absolutely. And by the way, before we do, I just want to thank you for your time and coming on because I always appreciate you and you're busy as hell. So it's always just a pleasure. But last night was a lot of fun. It was emotional, I think definitely for Fallon too. And, waking up this morning to a lot of the comments I received.
Did you just say waking up this morning thinking so many things?
No, I didn't say that. Are you giving me a Gia Judice reference?
I was giving you a Gia, like, things are gonna get better. Waking up in the morning thinking so many. Anyway.
No, reading.
I wrecked your train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, I love the reference. I was surprised, and I'm happy to see a lot of people showed her, empathy, and they were very sweet in the comments. And then I saw some comments where they're like, Adam, you should have went in on her and you should have ripped her a new one. And also, like, this was boring. You didn't, there was no emotion behind you. You weren't like normal Adam who's like, hey, guys. And I'm like, I'm fucking talking to a woman about breaking up her family, a divorce, and real life problems. I'm not she didn't just win the fucking lotto. Like, how else do you want me? And I actually had to really hone in on taking myself down for a second to do that interview because I do always come on here and I'm like, hey, and super peppy. And that was not the mood of that interview.
Oh, no, because if you came across that way, and again, don't take the criticism to heart because we're on YouTube. That's like part of it. But if you came across that way, people would be like, oh my God, you're so joyful in this woman's trauma. Like, why are you so joyful? Her family's breaking apart. What's wrong with you? Like, you're getting so much glee over her pain. And then it would be that narrative. So I thought it was a great interview. I saw on her social media that she posted an email from lawyers.
Yeah.
Was that something brought to your attention before it aired? If we can talk about it.
She didn't bring it up to me. But I did see it on there. And I did ask her, I brought it up to her. I was like, can we go forward with this? Are you going to get in trouble? And she's like, I didn't say anything bad and I have the right to speak my truth. And I was like,
both are true.
So I was like, okay. And then everyone wanted to know from me, Adam, did you receive like a cease and desist or something saying like, you better shut this down before it happens? And I was like, no, I didn't hear one thing. So then people were feeling like maybe, since it was only sent to her that they were trying to intimidate her or something. So it just...
What, lawyers trying to intimidate people by sending nasty gram letters? Weird. Never happens.
Right. Exactly. But I like I said to her last night, I called her right after and I know that, she was reading the comments too, because it was also premiering on her channel. So she saw the live chat going and she saw some comments that were like, oh girl, you're an actress, fake tears, this and that. And it gets to you. She's a human being. We're all human beings, no matter how big your platform is at the end of the day. Again, it doesn't even matter if it's Paris Hilton with a massive platform. She's a human being. So when you start talking to her or minimalizing her emotions, it sucks. And she's not media trained. She's not been on the show forever. She was on the show for a short amount of time. She's not been on other shows. It's like, she's a real human being. And she kind of like, she was, I think I don't think she was getting upset at some of the nasty comments, but I think they still sting a little bit. And when I got on the phone with her last night, I was like, fuck that, Fallon. Like, you be so proud of yourself, because the way you handled yourself with such grace and poise, and you came on here and you had the opportunity to take this moment and trash both of them, trash this woman for coming into your home, swimming in your pool, doing all of these things, you know, and then trash him for just simply trashing her. For saying that she is sleeping with her assistant, she's been cheating on him, that she got pregnant while she was married to him. By saying all of these things that don't paint her in the best light, knowing that her kids are also, you know, old enough to partake on social media. They go to school, they hear these things, they see these things. You're completely ripping her apart, it looks like, on social media. And she did not want to lead with that foot. She knew eventually his kids will also see what she's saying. And she put the kids before everyone because she wanted to make sure that she was sort of protecting them, even though she's not going to be in their lives anymore. She didn't want to trash them. She just wanted to speak her side. And I just praise her for that.
And I think that really came across, that this is a difficult situation, but particularly when she was saying, you know, the only one responsible for our marriage ending is us, and really had a lot of grace in that. And I think some self-awareness, like, look, a marriage is between two people, and that's the responsibility of the two people involved, and could have gone in more and chose not to. And I think the kids are absolutely the factor in that. But I thought it was a great interview. I thought it was well done. Hopefully you see that it brought in some new eyes to the channel that get to see what you do here, because it was with compassion. And I think I was talking to another channel about this and about the media, and this is a media interview, but it used to be that you could interview people to see what they said and just ask questions and be curious. And now I feel like there's times where if you don't crucify someone in an interview, people are like, what are you doing? Why aren't you trying to lop their head off? And it's like, no, we want to hear what they have to say and be curious and ask questions. It's not my job as an interviewer to skewer someone. It's my job to ask questions so you can hear what they have to say. And I think the perception of what people are supposed to do in an interview has shifted. And I think it's like, no, I don't like that person, so therefore the interviewer should be meaner to them. We see a lot of interviews that are not, you know, trying to skewer people, because we just want to hear what the other person has to say. And I think you asked good questions and gave her space to answer them.
Yeah, and thank you. And I also want to say this too. When I made the decision to come on this platform and to start YouTube, I wanted to go about it a way that felt authentic and genuine to myself. I watched, and when I started my YouTube channel, we were all going through a difficult time, a global pandemic. There was a lot happening in the world. There was an election, a pandemic, you know, just the world was, you know, there was a lot of emotion, high emotion. So I wanted to come on here and just lead with a positive foot. That's what I wanted to do. And I haven't changed that since I started. At least I don't think I have. There are so many other YouTubers who I also love and respect, who would take the opportunity to take that sort of Wendy Williams way and kind of bring you on and be like, girl, give me the good. You think that she's a X, Y, and Z, and like put you on the spot and kind of skewer you while also doing fun shade. And that's not me. So I just respectfully say to anyone who's looking for that from my channel, I'm sorry, that's not me. You most likely will never get that from me. I try to take on interviews and take on these moments and have a positive spin, my own positive spin on them. I'm not ever going to bring somebody on my channel just so I can have a public crucifixion of them. You know
I agree. I absolutely know what you mean. I'm sorry. I'm terribly distracting. I have a cat trying to attack my head. I don't even know what's happening, but I think it was great. And how did you, YouTube things. What was your max concurrent last night? Because I didn't see that at the end because I had to wait.
12,986, which
that's incredible.
I've never been over 2,000 before. So
for a premiere, that's incredible. YouTube things. And then when we got off, it was at 130, when we got off, it was at 30,000. And then I woke up this morning and I looked at it and it just keeps growing because of course everyone knows about it today. Good.
Now it's 155.4 thousand. So
good.
It's going. And it's of course receiving positive and not positive, but it's over. I don't care about what anybody has to say to me. I'm just happy that she gets to close this chapter. And everyone's asking, is she going to do a follow-up interview about him accusing her being pregnant, this and that? And I'm like, no, she doesn't need to. This was, if you got the end of the interview, she's letting you know, I'm letting go of Gobaria and I'm moving on. Her name is Valentina. She's taking on her maiden name and she's closing this chapter. So she addressed it. She's moving forward.
I love that. And I think the reason people like addressing things with you is because you do hold space for those conversations to happen without an ulterior motive other than let's hear what you have to say. And I think that that's really a special thing. And everyone has their own style, and it's okay to be true to your integrity and your style and be like, this is how I do things here. And that's why people want to interview with you.
Hey, thanks. And honestly, I look at it as longevity too. You know, like I could come on here and be like just ruthless and run with the best of them and kind of, like you said, like just skewer people. I could do that. But at the end of the day, I want to be in this business for a long time and I want to build relationships. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm building relationships. I'm building trust. I'm kind of inching my name in there a little bit more and more. And that's the goal. So hopefully it just continues. And I appreciate anyone who participated last night in the premiere. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed most of the comments of the people who were being nice. Some of them were a little, but that's okay. You know, that's what this platform is. That's what you said.
That's what social media is. But truly congratulations. And you're just celebrating your first year on YouTube. This cat right now, I swear, is just going to be doing this. It's just been a really big month for you. I'm really excited for you. And just, it's a tribute to what a great YouTuber you are, that people feel comfortable and safe sitting down with you. So congratulations. And I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I know that you're super busy and you have a lot going on. And Fred is like, Mom, get off of YouTube.
I mean, right. This cat right now is just a high need today. Fred is he's literally on the back of my chair, like tucked into my hair. So
Fred is like, get off of YouTube, Mom.
It's time to be done. Yep, absolutely. So thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for having me. I know we wandered and everybody's like, I thought we were just talking about Erika. Right. When I come on, I'm sorry, we wander.
And you know what? And I've gotten used to that and I really enjoy it because then I don't have to like hyper focus on one topic. We just jump around and I have so much fun. So
absolutely. Thank you for having me, Adam. Yep. I always appreciate being here. We'll have to talk more as the season goes on
I'm sure we will be back together soon.
Yep, and absolutely.
We also have to talk about, as it gets closer to BravoCon, we have to talk about getting our BravoCon tickets. Hopefully I'm getting press passes. If I do, I'll definitely let you know. And we will.
Oh, absolutely. Keep me in the loop of how you're doing it, because we definitely need to BravoCon, because there's a lot to, and I feel like everybody that I've really gotten to know, I mean, there's like two big communities of YouTube that my content kind of intersects with. And the Bravo community is one of the biggest and one of my favorite. I love the Bravo, YouTubers and podcasters. And so I just want to be in the same space with everybody and then see what happens.
Exactly. I like that. Hey, anytime you want to talk Bravo or Housewives, you know me, I'm your guy. Just come.
I know you are. I know. All right. Everybody, I'm sorry. We've been so long and so far and away. Thank you so much, Adam, for always being gracious as I ramble on and on. You guys, the law nerds that are here, don't forget to do the YouTube things, since Adam is not going to tell you to do the YouTube things. Do the YouTube things, liking and subscribing and hitting the bell. What else, Adam? What else do we need to tell them to do?
Also, make sure you go follow Emily D. Baker, because she's our favorite legal commentator on YouTube. And like she said, our worlds sometimes intersect. And she's also going to be covering the Britney Spears conservatorship hearing, like you said. So there's so many fun things. And if you're from my
coming up
spectrum and you're living under a rock and you don't know Emily D. Baker, everybody give her a huge congratulations, because you see that shiny silver thing in the background. That's what we all on YouTube as content creators fight so hard for. So, and honestly, also her child told her she's not a legit YouTuber until she gets that silver play button.
Yeah, and when I unboxed the silver play button, do you know what he said?
What did he say?
Well, he said, well, the diamond one's kind of cooler.
Oh my gosh, you can't catch a break here.
I cannot catch a break. My 13-year-old keeps moving the bar. He's like, you're not a real YouTuber till you have a silver play button. We get the silver play button. And he's like, the diamond one's pretty cool. I'm like, the diamond one for 10 million? Okay, buddy. Okay, sure.
You're
Adorable.
like, that's why I'm going to
Fine.
lock myself in the room with Fred, because Fred just loves me and doesn't talk back. It's great.
Absolutely. Fred's just like, you're my favorite YouTuber because I get to sit on your chair while you're on live stream.
I love that. Well,
Thank you, Adam.
super soon.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, guys, this is all moving a little bit slow for me on the StreamYard link, and I don't necessarily know why, but if you haven't already, make sure you go follow Emily D. Baker. She's honestly the best, and she breaks down all of the legal commentary in a way that at least I can understand. So I think if maybe you don't know all the legal jargon, maybe you will too. Also, if you haven't checked it out, go check out the Fallon interview. It was great, in my opinion. I love to see all the comments. I love to hear what you guys have to say. I will see you guys so very soon. And until next time, bye, guys.